Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville, online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you. Live from the Lions Den Golf Club studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
It's a very white Weldon Braxton in the seat next to me. But we're here on the Sports Blitz. We're going to get that changed, I promise. Mark Freeman, Brad Caldwell, Maddie Lassiter inside the studios. Looking forward to bringing you another hour of the latest in local and state and national sports. And Brad, man, we were talking in the pre-show. There's a lot of stuff to talk about.
It's football season,
yes,
and that is a sports broadcaster's dream.
Definitely.
To hear those words, because the dog days of summer are just about over, and it's time to talk football.
Definitely is good because we can preview some college football. We can look at the Razorbacks. We can look at high school football. I was at Pottsville High School yesterday for some photos. If you haven't seen those, go to rivervalleyleader.com. You can see those this afternoon. Well, you can see them right now if you want, but just make sure you have us open on another tab so that you don't lose us. Don't lose us, don't leave. But anyway, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Our Peters Family Living poll question today deals with the NCAA. We want to know what you think. If you're anywhere near where I am as far as how upset I am, I say upset, how fed up with the NCAA that I am, then you'll have a nice, passionate answer to this question. And you can call us at 968-NEWS. It's 968-6397. Or you can go to facebook.com/sportsblitz and let us know what you think. But my question comes on the heels of Des Bryant's comments, and we'll talk a little bit more about them here in a little bit. But basically, Johnny Manziel, after we left the air on Monday, had some more folks come out saying he signed things for me and he was giving money for this or that, and it came out that he had supposedly, allegedly, done a little bit more of the whole selling his autograph stuff. Well, Des Bryant came out saying, look, I was suspended for nothing, really, because he had a lunch with Deion Sanders and lied about it. Well, he said if Johnny Manziel isn't disciplined, he's going to be a little bit mad, quote unquote. And I asked the question today, does the NCAA's recent dealings with player discipline, see Ohio State with Terrell Pryor and those guys, USC with Reggie Bush, Oklahoma State and Des Bryant, A&M and Manziel, does it concern you? I think it's a deep question. I think there's a lot of different angles to it, but I'm looking forward to talking about that and plenty more.
Oh, yeah. As far as the Des Bryant situation goes, I don't think the NCAA even cares that he's going to be upset. But, the Manziel thing, why would you sign your name 4,400 times without getting paid for it?
Yeah.
I mean, if it comes out that this guy did not get paid, then he's the nice. Well, he's either an idiot or he's the nicest, most generous guy that has ever walked the face of the earth. Because you know how long it takes for you to sign your name 4,400 times on an average, let's just say a 10-second average? It takes you a day and a half to do that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So,
well, we'll see how that all comes out. I can tell you how it's going to come out. There's nothing going to happen to Johnny Manziel because nobody's going to put their name to it. Nobody's going to say, this is the proof, and because they don't want, which I think it's going to harm business anyway for those guys that are scumbags selling autographs and paying kids to do it. But the bigger question that we could go into for weeks is, should they be able to sell their autographs, which I think they should. Right. That's just my thought.
Well, there is so much that you can go into. There's so many angles that you can go into with that, I mean, yeah, it can be argued that yes, but then how fair is it for this and how fair is it for that? But you know what? At the end of the day, life isn't fair.
No.
And
exactly. The lawyer makes more than the ditch digger.
Exactly. And so if Johnny Manziel was able to go out and profit off of his name, then they're probably, as far as morally, there's nothing wrong with it. But he knew the rules, and he's just basically thumbing his nose at him, saying, "I'll do what I want."
I was going to say, there's another gesture that I think he's
we'll
leaning toward for that.
We'll say that. Thumbing his nose.
Let's take a look. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. Let's take a look at our Peters Family Living local sports look for the day. Maddie's got a little picture for you of some cool stuff that we've got coming up in the next couple weeks. It's football season, and on August 23rd, we're going to preview college football. Coming into that week, we're going to look at high school football as well. We'll be talking to coaches and players and just doing a roundabout. We're going to be giving away some tickets as well. We're going to give away some high school football tickets. Got some given to us the other day by Pottsville. Got some promised to us by Russellville and Clarksville as well. If you want to see some tickets from your school, have your school get back with me. I've tried to get a hold of Dardanelle, Dover, Atkins, some of those schools. We'd love to get with those school administrators, athletic directors.
I'll work on Atkins for you today.
Get them to give us some tickets to give away. We'll ask some trivia questions and things like that, and you could be the winner of some tickets to a football game. What I'll do is I'll just put them all in a hat. When you get the question right, you can pick whichever school you want. You know, we mentioned the other day, if you're a Pottsville Apaches fan, you can go watch Michael Perry and the Apaches play. If, say, you're a Pottsville Apaches fan and the Apaches are on the road that week, but Russellville's home and you want to come watch Russellville, you can take those Russellville tickets. So it's going to be good for some football fans to be able to go and watch their team or whoever's home that week play. They've done a pretty good job the last couple of years, I've noticed. I don't think they do it on purpose, but when they schedule, you'll have at least one good game that's in this area every week, regardless. There was one time last year where Pottsville was on the road at Fountain Lake and Russellville was at home. And then the next week, Pottsville will be home when Russellville was out in Little Rock or Fayetteville or whatever. So there'll always be a good game around this area that you can go watch. There'll be rivalry games the first couple weeks of the season, so it's going to be interesting to see. So let us know if you can get us in touch with your athletic director. Mark at River Valley Leaders, the email. Mark at rivervalleyleader.com is the email, and we would love to have tickets to give away for trivia and things like that. Hey, we may even give away some Razorback tickets. We did it last year a couple times, and we look forward to trying to do that again. But Brad, I went and took some pictures yesterday, and you were impressed by Pottsville's indoor practice facility. I was impressed by the team.
Well, nobody has it. Hardly any schools in Arkansas have an indoor practice facility, and so Pottsville is the first one in the River Valley area to have one, right?
I mean, they've got it's like a 40-yard. You know, it's got the regulation width, but it's like 40 yards long. And what they did a lot of time in the practice was they went long ways and they just cut it up in different little places. And then when they scrimmaged, they went, I say scrimmage, it was like a situational type thing. They did on the regular, you know, with the regular width and that type of thing. And that was cool. But yeah, I think Clarksville's got something inside in there. You know, it's just a little turf area. Russellville's looking to build something like that. Found out today that Johnny Johnson, the Russellville athletic director, is looking for $800,000 in improvements to the baseball and softball facilities. Football and indoor practice facility is in the discussions as well because they're building a new gym. That's one thing that has been confirmed. The money that they're trying to raise, I wish I could remember the number, but they've asked for a specific number, and if they get the number that they're asking for, they're going to build this gym. They're going to do $800,000 in improvements to Hickey Park, baseball and softball with backstops and things like that, and then they're going to put other money toward the track facilities. They're going to move the pits for discus and stuff like that up to the north side where it's with the other field events, and you know everything can be right there in track. And then they want to try to, you know, if they've got money left, do an indoor practice football facility, and then Russellville would be right there. And I'm sure that, you know, the Pottsville's went up quick. Yeah. So I think Russellville could do something similar, and then they would be right there with them. But, you know, it's just like the arms race of facilities in the SEC. Now everybody's just trying to get their building next.
Yeah, you are. Wow, that's really good. I'm glad that Russellville's going in with a new gym. That's something that that the Cyclones need really badly.
Yeah.
But also, I don't understand why anybody, especially a town like Russellville, your high school doesn't have a nice gym, because, number one, you're going to attract state tournaments right then and there. And that is a huge boost to the local economy. You would be shocked at how many people come through at a state basketball tournament. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, I wonder how much money they bring in.
It's a lot.
You know?
I mean, it's a nice boost for the economy, because you're talking about hotels, restaurants, all of those things, just for a Tuesday through a Saturday period. It's crazy that Russellville hasn't had one, but I'm glad that they're going forward with that.
I want to say, now this is probably completely wrong since I'm going to say it, but I want to say that those bass tournaments bring in nearly $1 million every time,
Right.
just to the local economy through taxes and hotels and all that other stuff. But you bring in a state tournament for a week, and it may bring in even more than that. But what they're going to do is they're going to move the auxiliary gym that has been the auxiliary gym attached to the main gym is going to be what they're going to build. They're going to build the gym in there, and they're going to expand forward toward the parking lot there and take up that space. And then the main gym is going to be the auxiliary gym later. So what they're going to do is, I think it's going to be really cool.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad they have a plan for that because it is needed.
Yeah.
Big
Hey,
time.
Clarksville, hope you're listening. And actually, Clarksville is they've got a proposed, and I've got a picture of it somewhere, proposed new high school with a new football facility as far as turf right there on the field as it is, a new locker room, a new concession stand, band
Wow.
area, basketball gym, new high school. It's like a $23 million project
Wow.
that they're trying to push through at Clarksville because they're in a 5A school in a 3A high school, So they're a 5A school in a 3A high school.
And they're
as far as
never going
amount
back
of
to 4A.
students.
I mean, I've
Well, they're-
basically been told that they will not
Really?
drop. Yeah, I've been told they will not ever drop back to 4A.
Wow.
Yeah, they're 5A for good.
Golly.
Well, they're like, the way the classifications go in Arkansas, your top 16 are 7A, the second 16 are 6A,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is ridiculous to begin with. And then you got your next 32 that are 5A. Well, right now, Clarksville, instead of being like, like where I live at, Huntsville, last year was like 31 in the 5A as far as the number. Well, they dropped back after the new round. Well, Clarksville right now is like 24 or 23, so they'd have to drop back 9 spots.
Yeah.
That's a lot of places
In
to
enrollment.
drop. In enrollment, right. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't happen because that stuff fluctuates all the time. I mean, who would have ever thought that Clarksville would have been a 5A school 20 years ago? But here they are now, and it doesn't look as if they're going back. And that whole 5A, the next round, Farmington's coming into it. Huntsville and Shiloh are both dropping back, and then you're adding 2 Little Rock schools in it. So you're going to have that 5A West Conference is the longest drives in the state because
Yeah.
it basically takes the northwest corner from central Arkansas all the way to Fayetteville and all the way down into the River Valley. It's long drives. I'm glad that Huntsville's not a part of it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at – I was actually talking to Coach Hill from Pottsville, and their conference, the realignment that they've got, it's knocking Maumelle out and bringing Clinton in, and it's knocking Boonville out and bringing – I think Ozark and Arkansas Baptist is also coming in, and somebody else. So Pottsville's actually going to be in a lot better shape after this next round of movement because Maumelle comes in as a 4A school. They're going straight to 6A.
Yeah.
So because their enrollment was huge, and they just had to stick them somewhere because they used to be Oak Grove and now they're Maumelle. But it's long story short, there's going to be a lot of change. But apparently Clarksville's going to stay where they are, and Russellville's going to stay where they are.
Well, since we're griping about just all kinds of governing bodies, I mean, we could start with our government. We could start there at the top, and then we could go down the NCAA. AAA needs some reform in their enrollment as well, and how that goes. I mean, it's just you can't think in this box anymore. And the box that they have is 8-team conferences. It's like we have to have 8-team conferences no matter what. But it is ridiculous for a kid on a Tuesday night to have to drive from Little Rock to Farmington and then go back to school in Little Rock or vice versa. It's ridiculous, and they should not have to do that. And the solution is make your district smaller. Yeah. It's that simple. It's that simple. I don't know why it's like this complicated thing. You can do smaller districts, and then you can go into regionals. Every state does them, seems like. I don't understand why.
And you don't have to have 4 hours in travel.
Exactly, it's ridiculous.
So, well, that's a long story, and we'll have to talk with the AAA about that. They love us talking about them on the show. So, all right, well, let's take a break. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about today. We want to talk about SEC. There's some news coming out of that about a college football game that you probably won't ever see again. We'll look at Razorback football, Razorback basketball, some recruiting, lots of different stuff today. And we've got a poll question for you to answer. We'll be back with more right after this.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville, online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929. Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with zero down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Welcome back to the Sports Blitz on a Wednesday. Mark Freeman, Brad Caldwell, Maddie Lassiter inside the RiverValleyLeader.com studios. Glad you have chosen to join us today. We've looked at our Peters Family Living local sports look, but let's look at our Peters Family Living poll question of the day. We've asked about the Johnny Manziel drama. If you've not been privy to that, he's allegedly been giving out his signature for some money. He's been paid to sit down and sign, and Brad made the point that if he would sign that many signatures for nothing, he's an idiot, or the nicest guy in the history of the world. So what do you think about this? Des Bryant mentioned it, and we'll talk about it here in just a little bit. He said, I was suspended my entire last season at Oklahoma State for nothing. I had lunch with Deion Sanders, and I lied to the NCAA about it because I was scared that they were going to do something to me for something, for nothing. And so they suspended him, even though there was nothing illegal about what he did. And he said, look, I'd be sort of mad if Johnny Manziel wasn't disciplined in some way. So we've asked the question, does the NCAA's recent dealings with player discipline concern you? You've got the Ohio State Terrell Pryor situation, USC with Reggie Bush, Oklahoma State and Des Bryant, and now Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel. So we'll look at that here in just a minute. Found it interesting as I was looking at ESPN.com that the Dallas Cowboys, Brad, they're still America's team whether people like it or not.
Yeah.
As funny as that sounds. The Forbes magazine has come out with their recent valuation. It's called the Forbes NFL Franchise Valuations. And for the 7th straight year, the Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable team in the NFL, $2.3 billion. Next up on the list, the New England Patriots at 1.8, the Washington Redskins at 1.7, the Giants at 1.55, and the Texans at $1.45 billion.
And what do these teams have in common? Each one of those teams that you mentioned, what do they have in common?
What do those teams have in common?
Brand spanking new stadiums.
Is the Redskins stadium new and Foxborough's not?
Redskins are pretty new. Foxborough's pretty new. As far as NFL standards go, it's pretty new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. So they've got these humongous, nice, just all great, wonderful stadiums.
Yeah.
And
that Jerry World has a big, it's worth $1 billion itself. So that there's a big bump right there. But, I was looking at it and I thought, man, Dallas, okay, so they're worth more because of the stadium and stuff like that. And I thought, no, they're not worth that much more. But the more I thought about it, 2.3 to 1.8, that's 0.5. Okay, well, that 0.5 stands for $500 million. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. And a lot of it has to do with the world's greatest stadium. And, I mean, at this point, Even the new stadiums that have went up, San Francisco's going up with a new one that is supposed to be pretty awesome. But it's still, I mean, just the mammoth Cowboy Stadium is what puts Cowboys over the top as far as the worth goes, because wins and losses definitely don't right now.
Yeah, well, this article says the Cowboys' $500 million lead over the Patriots was widened this offseason thanks to AT&T buying the naming rights to the 4-year-old stadium for more than $400 million. The team is the only team in the league that opted to distribute and control its merchandise supply chain. 9 teams are worth less than $1 billion. The Cardinals, the Chargers, the Falcons, the Bengals, the Lions, the Rams, the Bills, the Jaguars, and the Raiders. No team declined in value from last year, but the Kansas City Chiefs were unchanged at $1 billion. They're worth $1 billion. That's crazy. But it's kind of interesting that Forbes says the average NFL franchise is now worth $1.17 billion, more than the mean valuation of the world's top 20 soccer teams, the average MLB team, MEA team, and the NHL team. Average Major League Baseball team is worth about $400 million less than the average NFL team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just where we're at. I mean, the NFL's obviously king. There's no doubt about it. I wonder if you could put value on college football teams, what would they be worth?
I don't know. I mean, didn't Alabama bring in something like $100 million last year, just in football? Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, something
Texas is up there,
and Texas,
and then you got to throw stadiums in there and all of that as well. I mean, you're talking about being worth in a lot of professional sports franchises.
There probably are some baseball teams that aren't worth as much as the University of Texas football team. Wow. I did see that the other day, too, that the merchandise sales, Arkansas was number 10 in the country, which, we talked about Jeff Long, that business acumen that he's brought to the university. It's got them top 10 in merchandise sales, got them their own Jell-O. Have you heard about
Pop-Tarts?
that?
I hadn't heard that.
Well, they got Pop-Tarts, but
they're
they're one of 4 in the country who are getting their own Jell-O, Jell-O flavor of the box. I guess it's strawberry Jell-O.
Well,
Razorbacks.
Jeff Long, he knows what he's doing, no doubt about it. And Arkansas is appearing in stuff more like that with Jell-O, Pop-Tarts, that sort of thing. Right now, the program itself, I mean, there's not anything just overwhelming about wins and losses. Last year, the football team 4-8. The basketball team did not make the NCAA tournament. Those are the 2 most visible programs on your campus, is the football and basketball teams. But yet, we're still seeing Arkansas's acumen rise.
Yeah, they're definitely way up there right now, and Jeff Long has a lot to do with it. People have answered the call. Congratulations on doing that. You guys buying those tickets and putting your butts in the seats so that Jeff Long can continue to pay coaches big money and do stuff like that.
By the way, just talking about money, George Steinbrenner purchased the Yankees when he purchased it in 1973 for $8.8 million.
He made a little money on them, didn't he?
He did well.
He turned them around pretty well.
He's dead. He's still making money.
Yeah, seriously. He's worth more money than I'm worth, and he's dead. Well, today's Peter's Family Living poll question deals with the NCAA, and as we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and how much they're worth, well, let's talk about a Dallas Cowboy, and that's Des Bryant. We talked about his story. He had lunch with Deion Sanders. He lied to the NCAA about it. He said, you take this for what it's worth, that he felt like that he was being interrogated and that he was sort of scared because he didn't know what the NCAA was going to do. Well, it turns out when he lied to him, they suspended him for the entire season. And as we left the air Monday, we found out that Johnny Manziel, a couple more guys are trying to come out and throw him under the bus now, saying he signed other merchandise for me and he got paid for it. What do you think the NCAA is going to do? What do you think they should do? Does the NCAA's recent dealings concern you?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Now, let me make one point before I get into that. Is number one, you have to look at who the head of the NCAA was at that time. Miles Brand was the head of the NCAA when the Des Bryant case went on, and Miles Brand actually did a pretty good job as the NCAA head. Now you've got Mark Emmert, and Mark Emmert being
scum.
Well, he's Washington. He's pretty much a tree-hugging lefty. I mean, he's all of that. There's no punishment that has come down from the NCAA since he's been there, except for the Penn State thing, which, let me just say, first off, Penn State deserved everything that they got, but they actually overreached their bounds, I thought, with the NCAA. Now, if they wanted to bring some criminal, which they still are, bringing criminal things against Penn State, that was fine. But the actual NCAA, I think that they overstepped their bounds with that. But everything else, it's just like the old Wild West. Just do whatever you want to. You know, back in really the NCAA has kind of gotten back to where it was in the early 80s when everybody was just throwing out cash, doing whatever they wanted to do because there's no real punishment out there. Do you think that Johnny Manziel is scared that he's going to lose eligibility today? He's definitely not. And you know what they did? They went and lawyered up. And they went and got the guys that kept Cam Newton eligible, and they did it on purpose. They did that because they knew these guys know how to work the system. And you're right. Johnny Manziel's not going to miss much time, if any.
No, I don't think he'll miss any. The questions to me, I mean, we could go into the deep stuff about what's Johnny Manziel thinking. Why is he doing this? He's rich anyway. His parents have that oil money. We've talked in depth about that in the past. Why is he doing it? He's just selfish, things like that. He knows the rules, like you said. He knows what you can and can't do, and he's just thumbing his nose at the NCAA. The NCAA, to clear things up, is really, they shouldn't be a powerful entity. They should only enforce rules that the schools vote on, sort of like the AAA does. They should really only enforce things that the schools vote on, the schools kind of administer, and they just kind of, enforce things. But at the end of the day, they've been so wishy-washy with stuff. Okay, well, 5 years after the fact, we'll lay the hammer down on USC. And some of these guys who had nothing to do with it will have to pay the price when Reggie Bush won the Heisman.
Right.
Terrell Pryor, the biggest joke in the history of the NCAA, where they say, you know what, you bad boy, you got those tattoos for free, and we're going to suspend you next year.
Right.
After this game that's very important to us and is going to make us a lot of money, and you're not going to get anything from it, you're going to be suspended, and we're going to make sure that you're coming back. Oh, you're going to the NFL? Never mind. They're just a joke.
Well, they made him promise that he wouldn't go to the NFL.
Will you write down here?
Do you promise? Sure. I promise I won't go to the NFL, then boom.
I have my fingers crossed, so it doesn't count. Well, after all this junk, it does sort of concern me because the NCAA is toothless, but they're also brainless, in my opinion. They're like you've said about 100 different times, they're about to go bye-bye because they're worthless right now with what the NCAA is capable of doing, what they've been able to do recently.
Well, it's kind of this box thing we were talking about. Football and basketball are basically have expanded. They're out of the box now. The NCAA, the way that they used to cover them with rules and regulations, you just can't do it anymore. It just can't be done. Now, if you go to baseball and tennis, and that's what the NCAA was set up and designed to cover. Football and basketball are just beasts on their own. And when you get all of this money that's coming in, it changes the game. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening is football especially is going to basically go into its own organization. And when that happens, then the NCAA will regulate everything else. Now, basketball might as well. And when that happens, football and basketball are going to play by different rules. That's just the way it's going to be because they already do anyway. Football and basketball players play by a different set of rules on campus at your local university, especially your big-time university, than what your tennis players do. Do they not? Your golf team. So basically, we're just coming into the 21st century with all this because all football and basketball are anymore are feeder systems into pros. That's it.
Yeah. Well, the SEC has been a feeder system in 3 different sports, really. Football, in even more now in basketball and baseball as well. But the SEC, man, they've just become a beast, and it's no more proven than what the SEC decided to do. I guess this information just came out this morning about how they won't participate in the EA Sports college football game. The NCAA had already announced a couple weeks ago that they weren't going to be able to allow, or they weren't going to license its trademarks to the EA Sports football game. But now the SEC will not allow it as well. So it seems like the college football game is about to go bye-bye.
For now, until they get this thing figured out with Ed O'Bannon, which Ed O'Bannon he's a piece of work in himself.
Ed O'Bannon just makes me want to curse.
Well, number one, Ed O'Bannon, have you been relevant in how long?
Well, he was relevant for one night, and that's all that matters to me. For those that don't remember, Ed O'Bannon was a UCLA Bruin 1995 when Arkansas lost in the national championship game.
And now he's 50 years old, and he's run out of his UCLA money and his very short stint in the pros money that I think he was drafted by the Nets.
Yeah.
He didn't stay in the pros very long, so he's like, man, that Coach K college basketball, there's this guy, he looks a lot like me. He's got the same skin color as me and everything.
He's got a bald head.
And he wore my number. I'm suing.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to win the way it's looking.
Somebody came to him and said, look, there are a lot of people who'd like to make some money off the NCAA screwing them over here. Why don't you start this lawsuit and you can make some money?
Now, the interesting thing about that lawsuit is that 2 current Arizona players are on that lawsuit.
Yep.
Now, that right there, that's what we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I don't know if they'll win or not, but they may settle and still get some money, which if it sends his kid to college, maybe Ed O'Bannon will be happy.
There are so many shades of gray in this whole story with the NCAA because there are so many things. It's not like these athletes are sent up there and they're put in this dorm room and they're just left alone to just hopefully they'll make it for 4 years. I mean, they are taken care of, and they do have money. They do have stipend money already.
The only thing that makes me mad about it is that the athlete can't profit where there's an opportunity. You know, if I'm Johnny Manziel and my name will bring money for me just signing it, who are you to tell me I can't do it? I mean, forget you.
Right.
If I know that I came to the university, you know, Texas A&M University, and did this and that, and you guys gave me the opportunity, but at the end of the day, you need me, I need you, we work together. That's where this thing works. But if I can make my own money, you know, I've made the illustration 100 times about the engineering student. If he wants to go to work for, you know, at the nuke plant and make some money on the side, Arkansas Tech University saying, congratulations, look what our guy's doing. And NCAA is trying to stop that and nip that in the bud. All right, when we come back, we'll look at Kyle Frazier, a 5-star quarterback out of the state of Arkansas, who's now going to be playing a different position at Auburn.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Lions Den Golf Club is now offering a winter golf special to members and guests alike. Get your cart and greens feet covered for just $20. Take Highway 22 west to Bay Ridge or call 479-229-4162 for Lions Den Golf Club.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville, online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
We're continuing the discussion, whether we like it or not, or whether you like it or not, about the whole stipends for players and stuff like that. I've heard national media down to statewide media talk about paying players, and I'm not for that. I'm not for paying players. I'm for players being able to make their money on their own.
Use free enterprise.
Exactly, free enterprise. Because I don't want, with the Title IX issues that Brad mentioned in the break, we're talking about Johnny Manziel and the fact that he's signed autographs and has or has not taken money to do it. I think it's beside the point. He should be able to do whatever he wants with his own name. I don't think that players should be paid anything extra because they're getting that scholarship and things like that. But it's partially because, now this is going to sound wrong to a lot of people. It's going to sound mean. I don't want to pay the female gymnast as much as the quarterback of the football team and who's in the top 10 and who's bringing in all this money, because I saw something the other day that if each player was paid the same, if all the players were paid the exact same amount, all the sports, each player would get like $24 a year or something like that, or a month or a week or whatever it is. It's just negligible. But
Right.
if you can tell me that I can't make money on, things that people are willing to pay me for doing, like a service I'm willing to provide,
Making
going and
appearances,
signing
that
autographs,
sort of
making
thing.
appearance, speak at the Rotary Club or whatever it is, that's just ridiculous.
I agree with that.
That's just dumb, because these guys can't go get a job, but Johnny, he can go do whatever he wants. And I say Johnny because we're talking about Johnny. Old Jim Bob can go get a job doing whatever he wants, make $8-10 an hour, but Johnny Football could make a
Right.
bunch more, and they said, nope, you can't do it. That's just dumb. Doesn't make any sense.
I wonder, when has Johnny did any classwork lately?
Seriously. Well, he's not even going to class on campus anymore. He has to take his
Which is
classes
a
online because he's so
complete
popular.
Sham.
Now he can't go because if he win, he'd probably get punched in the face.
Oh my gosh, there'd
be some alumni on the coming to
Yeah.
class just to punch him in the head. They don't want him representing the university anymore.
the online classes that Johnny's taking. I mean, this dude
Underwater basket weaving.
He's at Pebble Beach playing golf. He's out at San Diego throwing in the first pitch. He's at Texas Rangers ballpark throwing the first pitch.
Hanging out with old
Hanging out with
rappers Drake and
Drake
those
and
guys.
LeBron, and he's at the NBA Finals. When does he ever go to class ever? I mean,
Seriously.
gosh.
That's beside the point, and that would be a long conversation. All right, we teased before the break that SEC football, we talked about them not licensing EA Sports games anymore. We also talked about a former Arkansas recruit who's at an SEC school now. His name's Kyle Frazier from Shiloh Christian. He is now at the University of Auburn. He was a 5-star quarterback recruit. Arkansas decided to go with Brandon Allen. Turns out, well, it remains to be seen, but it seems that Arkansas made the right decision because Kyle Frazier's now playing safety
Right.
for Auburn.
Well, a couple things on that. Number one, Kyle Frazier was like the USA Today Player of the Year. I mean,
Yep.
It wasn't like this guy didn't come in with some sort of accolade. I mean, he went to Auburn as a guy that was supposed to be the next savior, the next Cam Newton, really, when you get down to it,
Yep.
of that program, and he just has not been able to do it. And that makes me think about how the system that they ran it at Shiloh because Gus ran it, and now they're going to run it at Auburn, but it doesn't develop quarterbacks at all. I mean, it just doesn't. You don't know how to read defenses. What you know how to do is run two people in one spot and throw to the guy that's open.
Yep.
Or you know how to fake a handoff and run a counter against that. And those are the things that offense does. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, and you can be very successful in that offense, but if you're going to go and you're going to play college ball and you're going to go and you're going to play pro ball, you probably don't want to be in that system. And I mean, that's really just the bottom line. And that was Gus's prize recruit. He did go to Arkansas State, but he did recruit Kyle Frazier to be his quarterback there, which makes me wonder if he actually has an eye for guys himself as far as guys that can push him further along as far as winning championships and that sort of thing. Now, he did land Cam Newton, but how many Cam Newtons are there out there?
He and $200,000 landed Cam Newton.
That's exactly right.
And, yeah, like you said, Cam Newton, that was a perfect storm. They had Nick Fairley cause them trouble on the defense just
Right.
enough because their defense was pretty bad
Yeah.
for the most part that year. Then they had Michael Dyer, who, he was the offensive MVP, and then they had Cam freaking Newton, the Heisman Trophy winner. So
Well, Cam Newton
it's a perfect storm.
He may be the best SEC player to play in the league since maybe Bo Jackson. I mean, he was that good.
Tim Tebow was pretty good.
Tim Tebow was good. Darren McFadden was good. I'm just saying he's up in that pantheon of players
Yep.
that he's an all-time great, even though he played 1 year. How many of those guys are out there, and can Gus go out there and get that guy to make his system work? And that's going to be the question going down the line.
you mentioned the high school, and not to pile on Kyle Frazier or Gus Malzahn, but I will just a little bit. You put two guys in one spot, and you make this real tough on high school defenses. But what happened when they go play the Texas schools and some more complex defenses and some guys who know what they're doing? They get smoked because it's just big boy football wins against that gidgety gadgety whatever smoke and mirrors type football. Maybe Gus Malzahn got lucky in the last. He got Cam Newton. He had a pretty good game or a good team there at Arkansas State. So maybe he got lucky, but maybe this works better than I'm giving him credit for. We'll see. Will he be able to develop players to compete at an SEC level year in and year out? Auburn's banking on the fact that he can. I don't know that I believe it.
Quarterbacks. When you get down to it, Mark, the most successful teams in the SEC are going to have good quarterbacks, and really, I have yet to see Gus be able to develop a quarterback on that level. Now, when he was at Tulsa, yeah, there were guys out there. He had guys that did well. But we're talking about on the big boy level now. I'm not sure that he has got that ability, and that's why Arkansas won without having him as our coach. And I'm a guy, I like Gus. I really do, and I like his offense even. But the facts are that he has not yet been able to develop a quarterback in his system other than Cam Newton. He's a freak, And now they've got a guy that's going to play quarterback for him that was playing cornerback at Georgia. He transfers out to a JC. Now he's probably going to end up being the starter for him.
Yeah. Well, the reason that we talk about Auburn today is it's about time to start talking about the Razorbacks. So I've got Auburn as a game that I expect Arkansas to have a really good chance of winning. Mm-hmm. Now, Arkansas does play Auburn on November 2nd, the week after Auburn gets Florida International. But at the end of the day, Auburn, with that Gidget offense and the fact that Arkansas is going to go about the style of football I feel like they're going to employ, it means that Arkansas, to me, will have a good chance to control the game and win that game. Auburn and Gus Malzahn and the style of play that they're going to employ, I don't think it plays into Arkansas's hands because, Texas A&M is going to do something similar, and they worry me to death because Johnny Manziel can do what he wants. But I feel like Arkansas is going to have a good chance of winning that game against Auburn. But Brad, we've got some questions that we have to answer. We definitely want to look at Alex Collins here in a minute, but there were some questions that have come up since the scrimmage that we can sort of look at for just a minute before we go to break. Offensive line, defense. There are some things that Arkansas is going to have to shore up.
Yeah, well, when you look at the style of play that Arkansas is going to incorporate, number one, it's going to be a ball control style of offense. And when you have a ball control style of offense, you have a chance to keep yourself in a game. Very rarely are you going to see Arkansas under Brett Bielema actually get blown out because, number one, they will keep turnovers down. They're going to keep penalties down. Those are the things that are just staples to the program that he ran at Wisconsin. They're going to run the football, so they're going to control the clock. But how successful can they be is going to be the question, because really when you look at it, it's going to come down to two things. Defense, which Arkansas comes back with the weakest defense in the league statistically last year, and the offensive line, which probably, if you want to look at that, probably had the weakest offensive line in the league. How much improvement is Arkansas going to have in those two areas are going to tell you how successful they can be this year and going down the road. Now, when you look at the guys that they've got coming in, offensive line-wise especially, you've got guys like Denver Kirkland right now is running second-team offensive tackle, and he's pushing right now for first team. Now, when you try to start a freshman in the SEC, there's going to be some growing pains, no doubt. But you've got guys that have ability. Reeve Kohler's another guy. Dan Skipper's another guy. You've got guys coming in this class that they are going to shore up the offensive line, and it's going to be shored up very fast. You've also got guys that have ability, and I think part of Arkansas's offensive line woes in the past have just been due to bad technique. In a lot of areas, I think that was part of it. So if you look at those two areas, and if Arkansas can shore those areas up, maybe Arkansas does surprise a few people this year. Maybe they can win a game that they're not supposed to. Maybe they can push through that 6-6 barrier.
We want to look after this break at the offensive line questions, defensive questions, Alex Collins running back questions. I want to look at both sides of it, kind of weigh it evenly, and let you make your own decision on what you'll think about the team coming up. Obviously, it's all going to be played out on the field, so what we say is sort of it's not just our opinion because it's based on some facts and some things that we've seen over the course of the fall, summer practices and into the spring. But I've got some interesting thoughts both on the positive and negative side of freshmen starting at a couple different positions and what we've heard from the coaches. So stay tuned.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville, online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929. Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with zero down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Lions Den Golf Club is now offering a winter golf special to members and guests alike. Get your cart and greens feet covered for just $20. Take Highway 22 west to Bay Ridge or call 479-229-4162 for Lions Den Golf Club.
Taking a look at the University of Arkansas's depth chart, and there are some exciting but also some concerning things. We've talked about, Brad mentioned the offensive line questions, the defensive questions. Haven't heard a whole lot of, I don't want to say it's negative, I haven't heard a whole lot of positive stuff about the Arkansas offensive line, or the defense from Chris Ash, but I feel like he's partially doing that to motivate the guys. He doesn't want them to feel like they've made it. He wants them to think that they need to work hard and continue to do that. But I've seen some concerning things on the offensive line. I don't want to see a revolving door at the offensive line positions, and I don't want to see guys from practice to practice. Oh, well, he just didn't get it today, so we're going to move this guy in. A freshman starting in the SEC, that's kind of scary. I don't care how big you are.
Right.
Unless you just are some sort of freak, Sean Andrews type guy, Denver Kirkland and Dan Skipper and Reeve Cole, the guys you've mentioned, beating out JUCO guys coming in. That's kind of scary. It sounds to me like either Arkansas missed, or these guys are just freaks, or we're just not going to have a real good offensive line. It seems like it can only be one of those.
Well, I think that the first thing is that they did recruit freshmen that have ability. I think that's the number one thing, is that these guys are good. They're probably learning curve, ceiling-wise, they're probably better than the guys that are already there. Of course, anytime that you can throw a guy that's experienced out there, you want to throw him out there, no doubt about it. But at the same time, where we're at as a program, I don't see any reason why, if they feel like that there's a freshman that's maybe even just a little bit not quite as good. There's not much difference, but they're not quite as good.
That's scary.
I would throw it out there because you've got higher ceiling there, and like a Denver Kirkland. I mean, look at this guy, humongous dude, and a guy that a lot of people wanted on their team. I mean, Florida State wanted him. I mean, there were several different schools that recruited this guy. They wanted this guy for a reason, because he can play. And if he ends up beating a guy out like Grady Ollison, who hasn't even had any SEC starting experience at offensive tackle, it's really not going to hurt my feelings a whole lot. In the end, you want your experienced guys to play. You want them to start. But where we're at as a program right now, I don't think it's a huge loss one way or the other.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of scared by the whole, let's just play him because his upside's better, because that tells me that they don't think that the other guy's very good, so that this guy that's replacing him isn't that good. I want the best guy to play regardless of the upside, because if you're going to be good it's the old Nolan Richardson thing. If the dog's gonna bite, he'll bite as a pup. If he's gonna be good, maybe he'll be better right then as a freshman and then work his way up. If experience is a big deal, but do you think it's as big a deal as practice and weight room and technique and learning those things? I mean, do you think what do you think weighs the most?
It all does.
No?
Football is, they say is the ultimate team sport, and every bit of that, if you put all of that on a scale, it all weighs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Experience is a humongous factor in a team. We've seen it with Arkansas. Let's go back to the 2005 season when Darren McFadden was a freshman, and that team went 4-7. They got SEC experience that year, and they come back the next year and they win the West, win 10 games in a row. They win the West, go 10-2, ended up in the Florida Citrus Bowl or the Capital One Bowl. You can't tell me that their experience didn't have some sort of factor in that. So experience is a huge deal, but so are all of the other things, and that's why it is more difficult to build a football team than it is really anything else.
Huh. Well, we'll see how it comes. I mean, I feel like that they're going to put the best player on the field, and these guys, I don't think this staff is going to be together forever, and they want to win as quickly as they possibly can.
Right.
Some of these guys, Randy Shannon, you may have him for 1 year.
Right.
You may have him for 2. If Pittman and Chaney and those guys can do a good job at Arkansas, no offense, Arkansas, but this may be a stepping stone job to a great job.
Right.
But maybe they want to stay and build something, but I feel like Randy Shannon, he'll have a big offer.
Well, I look for Ash. I think he'll be a head coach. I think that's his next step. When Ash goes to head coach, you're probably going to lose Partridge as your defensive coordinator right off the bat, or as his defensive coordinator, unless Arkansas moved him to defensive coordinator, which would be a possibility.
Kind of depends on the job, yeah.
Pittman, interesting about Pittman, I didn't know this, but Pittman is from Grove, Oklahoma. You know where Grove, Oklahoma is? You know where he's at?
Not far.
If you draw the Arkansas line, I mean, it's like right there. I mean, it's just right there in Northwest Arkansas. He's very close to home. He's one of the highest paid assistants in NCAA right now, and Alabama wanted him. Arkansas ponied up and said, "We're gonna keep you here."
Yeah,
and so we might be able to keep him a little longer. I don't think Jim Chaney has any aspirations to be a head coach. I think he likes where he's at offensive coordinator wise. So if he and Bielema can jive together, I'm not sure that he doesn't stay. But I do look at Ash as a guy, Randy Shannon as a guy that's probably going to go elsewhere at some time. Michael Smith, the wide receivers coach, I've been utterly impressed with that guy.
Yeah.
And look at the way that guy's recruiting right now. You can't tell me somebody's not going to want him to be a part of what they're doing. So yeah, you're right. It's not going to stay together forever, but it may not break up like you think it will.
Well, I hope that they can keep the guys together forever, but knowing how much money they put out, it seemed like they were sort of trying to build something quick.
Right. Well, it could be like the Murray State Mafia, and nobody leaves.
Yeah, that would be. And it would be fine if they're all good, but if they end up sucking that bad, I'll just fire them all right now.
She best.
She worst. Weldon, have you heard his stories about Shebest? No, it was Marcusson. I'm sorry, it was Marcusson. He said he went to an offensive line camp, and he said he's never met somebody who used the F word in so many different. How the F you doing, man? What the F you doing this morning?
Yeah.
He said that those guys were just the worst.
Well, interesting about Marcusson is they actually hired him as their O-line coach at Wisconsin last year. Fired him before the season was over.
Yeah. Well, and then they got better, so imagine that. Let's look. We're going to look, I'm sure, in depth on our college football preview week there, and especially on August 23rd. But let's look real quickly at an interesting battle that I think is shaping up to be a great thing. We've talked about offensive line and young guys getting into the mix there at offensive line. Well, we've seen in the past that at running back, the young guys all across the country, they're having an impact early on. And who's going to be Arkansas's bell cow? We've heard a lot from the coaches about Jonathan Williams. We know that Alex Collins, a 5-star, highly sought-after recruit. He looks to be very good. Some media sources are saying that he looks like a pro right now, going through these scrimmages. I think that's going to be a very interesting battle, and by the end of the year, who knows who the man is going to be.
I do.
Yeah?
Alex Collins.
See, I think Jonathan Williams will still be the man
really
for this year. I mean, I do think Alex Collins is going to be really good, but you look at the way that Wisconsin's done it in the past. You know, you've got one guy who is the guy, and he's steady, and we know what we're going to get from him. And then this guy comes up, and eventually he overtakes him, but I don't know if it's one in the first year.
Well, number one, you've got two guys that are capable. That's something that
it appears.
Yes, it does.
Neither one of them have really proven anything.
That's true, but they both look like they're capable players, capable SEC players at that. So the thing with Jonathan Williams right now is if he does a good enough job, it doesn't matter how good Alex Collins does. He's the number one guy, and he can't be unseated unless somebody steps up and does better than he does. So it's up to him if he wants to keep that seat or not. But I think at the end of the day, Alex Collins is going to be just a little bit better. That's just my opinion. I've heard people, other media sources say that this guy looks to be the next great running back to come through here, and we're looking at this guy for 3 years, and he's gone.
Yeah, well, I hope that's right. I hope that the battle is such that Jonathan Williams breaks off an 8-yard run, and then Alex Collins breaks off a 10-yard run. Just because he's like, oh, well, hey, look.
Well, when you look at the way Wisconsin used their backs, I watched the part of the Big Ten championship game last night just to get my football fix. They had 3 backs that got the football. So there's going to be room in the backfield for him and another guy, because in major college football anymore, you can't just give the ball to one guy and keep them healthy. It's just not going to happen.
Jonathan Williams, a big 4-star running back out of the state of Texas. He's been playing for a while. Alex Collins is in his this will be his 3rd year playing football ever.
Right.
Does that concern you? I've heard some other folks talking about this too, and the fact that Alex Collins is so new to the game of football. He's a lacrosse guy, he's a track guy, he's only been playing football a couple years. It's very, very impressive that he's even gotten to this point. Does it worry you at all that he's so new into the game?
A little bit, but it also tells me he's got a very high ceiling. For him to have such little knowledge about football and for him to have such little experience in football and still be as good as he is right now says that this guy has some natural God-given ability. Now we need to be able to mold it and develop it. And when that happens, watch out.
And that's what Joel Thomas, the running backs coach, said. He said, he's like clay in my hands. We don't know what we can get from him yet, but we know that however I want him to be as a running back, whatever, skills that I want him to have, he doesn't have any bad habits.
Right.
He's only been playing 2 years. I'll make sure that he's how I want him to be. But at the end of the day, the point that I made before the show, Alex Collins is a freak. We know that. And everybody in the SEC, though, is a freak. You're playing against a linebacker who was mauling kids in 5th grade. You're playing against a defensive lineman who's been running by people his whole life. You're playing against defensive backs who have been hawking folks down their whole lives.
That's right.
So you're playing as a freak against the freaks. So the fact that you don't know what you're doing kind of scares me. The fact that, I've heard that he doesn't know which hole to take sometimes, and the video that I watched, as fast as he was getting hawked down from behind sometimes. So when you're going to get that in Florida, you're going to get that in the SEC. And if you're timid or if you're unsure of what you're supposed to do, you're going to get exposed in the SEC. But I do feel like he'll develop and he'll be very good. But I feel like Jonathan Williams has got a leg up on him right now.
And you may be right. And Jonathan Williams may be so good this year that he can stave him off. But I think by the time that we look at next year's team, they're going to be at least on equal footing.
Yeah, well, Jason Kilburn texts in here, and he says that, in his opinion, Collins will be a better long-term, but this year it'll be Jonathan Williams 55-45 on carries, with Williams having the most. I feel like he's sort of with you. Both, he says, though, are legit. And I agree. I think both of them are going to be very good. I was very excited after watching the film that I saw of both Jonathan Williams and Alex Collins, that Arkansas was able to get Alex Collins. He's going to be the real deal. It worries me, though, playing in the SEC against the best in the country, that he doesn't have any much experience playing, but I can see the positives too. So looking forward to watching Alex Collins this year. Looking forward to previewing college football in depth the next couple weeks. We made mention of the fact that spring scrimmage, Brandon Allen, 16 of 17, was that him or the defense? We'll talk a little bit more about that on Friday. We'll look in depth at the Razorbacks recruits. Jared Cornelius, wide receiver out of Shreveport Evangel. Armon Watts, a defensive end, defensive tackle, and a basketball recruit that we didn't talk a whole lot about, Nick Babb, a 6'4 shooting guard. But we also need to make mention real quickly before I forget that Fan Day is this Sunday for the Razorback football team. It's going to take place at Bud Walton Arena from 2 to 4 this Sunday. So get out there and support the Razorbacks if you're able to. I know you may be in the area, but I won't be.
Yeah, I don't make habit of going to stuff like that.
Get you some signatures, man.
If I had a child, I would be over there in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I'm not that creeper that wears the jersey to the games anymore. By the
Creeper.
time
Everybody who wears a jersey to the game is a creeper.
That's
now.
right. When you're 25 and you wear a jersey to the game, it's time to evaluate your life. And so, hey, I'm just saying, Maddie's
like, dang, man, I wore a jersey to the game last year.
So 25 seems to be the cutoff for jerseys. I used to have a closet full of jerseys, and I don't have any anymore because I'm just not that guy.
You were older
anymore.
than 25 when you wore the jerseys too, though.
Nope.
I don't
Cut off.
believe you. I
Cut
don't
off.
believe you.
Nope.
I don't believe
Cut
you.
off.
All right, well, that's all the time we've got for today. We'll be back on Friday. We'll give some stuff away. We'll preview some college football. Man, it's football season. So give us a call with your thoughts on football on Friday. The number's 968 News. We'll give it to you again on Friday. Well, for Brad and for Maddie, I almost said Weldon again. So long. We'll see you on Friday at 11 o'clock. RiverValleyLeader.com with more Sports Blitz.